Oh, hey now, what's up, guys? I think we're on our fourth part of our little series here for our coming out of the Christian closet or coming out of the closet as Christians, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So where did we leave off? We left off talking about firsts, all the different firsts that you have in this part of our journey here. And we decided that we would next. I made unilateral decisions here. I didn't even involve you in this, not yet at least, but I will. But you have to engage. I need you to comment. I need you to give me suggestions, some ideas of what you want to talk about. If you want to disagree with me about something, go for it. All the stuff and things. But most importantly, I need you to subscribe to the channel so you get notifications when we do a new episode. Okay. So that's out of the way. So next we are talking about, I'm looking at my notes. I'm always so envious of people who do this stuff, who like never look at notes. Is there anybody that doesn't look at notes? They have to. I insist on it. This time around, we're talking about, this was something that kind of came to my mind because I just thought it was funny after I got really frustrated and aggravated. But making the comparison about how and who I thought I would be walking in my Christian faith compared to who and how I am. They are sometimes matched up perfectly and other times not. So I'm wondering if you're having that same experience, and I'll explain it a little bit more. So I thought I had it in my head. It's not even that I had like this big mental internal conversation with myself, like, okay, now that you're a Christian, you are going to be perfect and do everything great and right. And you're just going to be like Snow White, and birds will come land on your finger, and you're just gonna go ha 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 ha, and magical, wonderful things will happen just because you have this spirit in you. And sometimes I am like that. I mean, not necessarily the whole Snow White thing, although my daughter does call me Snow White because birds do come to my hand sometimes. So that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so I really thought that when I embraced and started walking in my faith, I was just going to have this constant. I know this is impractical and illogical. I know that you already knew this, but this is just me, how I am. I thought I was just going to have this like endless, bottomless well of inner peace and always be in this peaceful, cheerful mood where nothing would faze me and nothing would bother me because I know the Lord. Like that was my thought. That was my idea. That was how I wanted to be. I guess it's not necessarily how I actually thought I would be. I guess it's just what I wanted to be and how I wanted to feel like all the time. Yes, I know that's impractical, illogical, impossible, impossible. Yes, I totally understand and know that there is only one perfect person, and that is Jesus. I know all of those things. And yet, I still thought I would be so much more consistently chill. um, and I am basically a pretty chill person. But man, when my moods hit, they just hit hard. Like I just, you know, I'm human. I'm regular. I'm average. I'm every person whose emotions, can be a roller coaster sometimes. And um, because of my personality type, because of the severe introvertism, um, I need a lot of quiet and decompression. I get super, super sensory overloaded. And when I get sensory overloaded, and it doesn't even take a lot, but when I get sensory overloaded and people try and communicate with me when I'm in that space, I lose my ability to act right. I get snappy. I don't know why I had to snap along with that. But I get snippy and snappy and short tempered, and I just, I have this unnatural and terrible notion that everybody should just know to be quiet around me. I mean, how talk about egocentric, my goodness. But so that kind of thing really makes me angry with myself. I get really mad at myself for not being as good as I think I should be now that I'm a Christian. And so my question to you is, if you are either, in the same part of the journey that I'm at, or if you're farther along and now you're looking back at your earlier days, and this is just kind of like a reminder of things, maybe, I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, are you experiencing any of that? Are you having any of those frustrations that I'm having, that, like, I thought once I became a Christian, once I committed to being a Christian and embraced that I was just going to have this all loving, kind spirit and, just be a blessing to everyone around me. And I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I am sometimes. I would love to say a lot of times. But I don't know if that's fair to say if it's a lot of times. I just would like for it to be a lot of the times. I would like for it to be at least most of the time. So hopefully that's the case. But you fall into your old habits, very easily, because the habits, personality traits and all of those things. And so that's been like one of my big, huge struggles in all of this. My self expectations versus reality definitely clash a lot more so than I would like. And, sometimes, and I'm sure, I mean, please tell me you go through this too. Like, sometimes you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Sometimes you're just in a mood for no reason. And for me, then I get mad at myself for being in a mood, because I'm like, why are you in a mood? There's nothing to be in a mood for. Like, you literally woke up in a cranky mood. You got attitude with everyone and everything irritates you and annoys you. Like, you're not supposed to be like that now. You got Jesus. You're supposed to be, light and love and happiness. Is it just me? It can't be just me. It can't be just me going through that. I go through these periods of time with this, that I'm like on a high, I'm like so excited and joyful, like so joyful, like does that make any sense? You ever get so, you have so much emotion, you don't know what to do with it, that you kind of like do the angry face even though you're like really happy. Yeah. And then you come down from like you get so energized, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, like all these great things, like I'm gonna go and evangelize and do all these. Is that the right word? I think that's the right word. I'll look it up after, but you know what I mean, right? Like, I'm going to go out there and do that. And I'm going to, share the word with people and bring other people into the faith. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all the things. And then you just have like this super regular mundane day where like nothing happens. Like, you're just, chilling. Maybe in my case, I don't see another soul for the entire day. No one, because I work from home. I don't really even like leaving the house that much. So that's kind of a problem, isn't it? I mean, not for me. I love it. I go places I'm not, what's it called when somebody can't, I don't have agoraphoria. No, what is it? What the heck is it? Why can't I come up with it? I haven't had enough coffee. You know what I mean? I can't, it's not that I can't leave the house or I won't leave the house. I'm just a homebody. I love being home. This is where I'm happy and peaceful. I mean, obviously not all the time, because I just told you I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and I'm crabby and cranky for no reason. But that's what makes me mad. Like, it's a vicious cycle. Tell me that I'm not alone in this, that I'm not the only one that goes through this. It's that vicious cycle of, I want to be a certain way because of everything that I'm learning and growing in, but then I'm just my regular self. And it's like, well, that was disappointing. Boo. So yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what to do about that other than, I was at church last Sunday, and our pastor was actually in a way talking about almost exactly that, is kind of addressing it coincidentally, not coincidentally, we know it's not a coincidence, but he was actually talking, he was talking about himself, how he falls short and how it frustrates him. And it's like, man, are you kidding me? Like, how did you know I needed to hear that right now? And that kind of thing happens so many times. Every time is it fair to say? I feel like it's every time, but I'll be, realistic and say a lot of times, but I feel like it's every time. Screw it. I'm just saying it every time I have a struggle, in this journey, every time I have a frustration or a struggle or a question, I ask, and this has been another struggle I'll tell you about in a second. But I put it out there. I put it out there and I ask for help with it, or explanation or an answer, or, I don't know, just understanding or something. And I get every time. And this was, a perfect example of that, here I am feeling this self frustration, for my inadequacies, my failings, my regular inadequacies and regular failings that I thought I wouldn't have anymore. Darn it. And here is our pastor sharing his own feelings of, um, iniquity and, uh, failing and falling short and all of those things and not being as good as he feels he should be. And that's the kind of thing that I love about, our pastor in our church, and also my online church, Pastor JP. I mean, they are so human. They're so human, and they bring that humanity, their failings um, to us, and say, listen, none of us are perfect. And that's why we need Jesus. That is why. And that's kind of like the long-winded, answer to, if you are feeling like that as well, if you're experiencing that and going through it, this is what I've learned, that we're never going to be perfect. We are never going to get it all right. We keep striving. We try our best. It's not to say don't try. Keep trying, keep doing as good as you can, keep learning, keep growing, keep doing all the things, but understand that only Jesus is perfect. He is the only perfect one. Everything that we do, everything that is good that we do is through him and because of him and for him, right? And that helps us grow, and that helps us become better, and hopefully helps us shorten those time frames of us being way less than great or way less than good. And that helped me. All of that helps me tremendously, and I hope it helps you as well. And I'll tell you about, like, one of the things besides the one I just told you. Another one of the things that, um, has been a huge frustration for myself. So I have always, from the time that I was allowed to swear, I have always had a foul mouth. Like, I am an F-bomb dropper. Like, that is a normal part of my conversation. Now, would I talk like that in mixed company? And like, I know time and place. I'm evolved enough to know that, guys. Come on. But in my regular life with people that, I can talk to like that, yeah, I got a foul mouth, man. I swear a lot. I mean, like I said, drop the F bombs, all of them, all of them. And, I have been having this struggle of, like, going back and forth between, well, is it that big of a deal? Like, where does it even say in the Bible about swearing? Well, it does. I don't have it in front of me. I should have prepared better for this one, but it does say it in there basically. Like, I don't think it actually says the word swearing. But it does talk about, using your language, blah, blah, blah. So I will find it and I'll put it in the notes. Okay. So you can see it too. So yes, but then, I keep trying to find that way around it, because I go back and forth because I'm like, okay, that's it. That is it. I'm not going to swear anymore. I am a gosh darn it fudge and fork this. And I blow it within like 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes of saying, I am going to no longer be a person who swears, I drop an F-bomb like nobody's business and I blow it. So my alternative, like my other flip side of that is like, I try and find a way around it. I'm like, well, let me just see if there's a way around that. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. And I will, scroll through my TikTok and wherever. And lo and behold, somebody will come and be like, is swearing really a big deal? I think I even saved the video. If I saved it, I'm going to play it.
What does the Bible say about cursing? Well, the Bible says about cursing may not be as cut and dry as, hey, don't cuss. But as you can clearly see, it says, don't use curse words. Don't use words that belittle people. Don't use harsh language. Don't use words that cause people to suffer. Don't use words that cause pain. Don't use words that are caused to hurt other people. Instead, we are to live our lives as earthly representatives of the kingdom of heaven. And all of our actions should reflect that, especially our words.
I know that would be pleasing to him if I cut out the trailer talk. If I just stop doing that, it would be pleasing. And that, of course, is a goal, to be pleasing to God. So yeah, that's definitely a struggle. I guess the biggest takeaway from it is that we are all where we're supposed to be in our journey. So stop trying to rush it. And I'm lecturing myself. I'm not lecturing you. I'm lecturing myself. Stop trying to be over there, 20 steps ahead when you have not made those steps, when you haven't walked that walk yet. So take the time, get deeper into the journey and the learning and the immersion, and those things will come. It'll come. The deeper I get into living in my faith, I'm guessing the more likely I will be to feel the need to swear less, to get frustrated so quickly, to be reactive, to do all of those things. I think those are things that come in time. If you're steady in your growth, and if you're constantly talking to him and asking him for his help and guidance. I do that every single day, probably multiple times a day, but I know that I do it concretely. I know I do it in the morning and at night. So it's my, the thankfulness, thanking him for every single possible thing that I can think of, which is, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, okay, just everything. Thank you for every single thing. But I do try and list a whole bunch of things that are especially at the front of my mind that I want to be thanking him for. I ask for forgiveness. That's the next thing. So gratitude, forgiveness for all of those transgressions, all of those, failings and shortcomings and mistakes. Ask for forgiveness. And then I offer up my prayers, my requests. I send in my request list. And so that's kind of the pattern, the habit of what I do. One of the notes I put down on here for today, which it doesn't actually segue nicely from what I just said, but I just kind of glanced down and I saw it, and I want to address it because it's kind of part of the struggles in this journey that you may be facing right now. Now, first, I'll start by saying I have been absurdly fortunate. I'm so just crazy blessed with little strife and struggle through this process, through this journey. And that is not always or even often the way for people. Once you commit to your faith, they being lots of people who know the things, they say that your challenges and difficulties may actually even multiply. Things may get more difficult once you embrace your faith. And I have been fortunate. I don't know why or how, but this has not been difficult. With one, I would consider it an extremely small exception, but something that I was made aware of to understand from my friend who I talked about in a previous episode, who shared her church with me so that I could watch it online. That's that Solid Rock Church, Market Common. And by the way, it's not like some kind of paid endorsement or anything. I just love that church that much. And I love that pastor that much that I want to share them every chance I get. And I love our church as well, so I don't want to leave them out. It's a Emmanuel Baptist church, and I can, again, links. I'll throw all the links in for you. Check out whatever you feel like checking out. So when I first started this journey, she was one of the first people that I spoke to about it because she's on the same journey, just further ahead, further along in it. And one of the things that she said stuck out to me because, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I had done a podcast episodes talking about some of my experiences as I started this journey. And one of them was like, sorry, losing my voice. One of the things that was happening is I was having these really intense, vivid nightmares. Now, I've always been in a very active dreamer, technicolor going on in here, whole stories, movies, books. Like, my dreams have always been crazy. Not bad crazy necessarily, mostly good crazy, just like, what the heck? Like, why this crazy? That kind of crazy. But I had, and this was actually what prompted that episode that I specifically wanted to talk about this. So I'll just kind of recap it quickly. I had this crazy, terrible, vivid nightmare, demons, actual demons. And in the dream, it was one of those dreams where you're asleep, but you wake up in your dream. So you're actually asleep, but in the dream, it's like the same exact thing, but you wake up in the dream and it's all feels very real. Like you think you're really waking up for real. Everything is for real, but it's a dream. And I was sleeping in the dream and for real. And I felt something. I was by myself because I was visiting in Florida and my husband had stayed home. So I was in Florida, sleeping in the bed by myself there. And eyes are closed and I feel the covers move, lift up. And everything about it is so weird. It's so hard to explain dreams, isn't it? But anyhow, I slammed down my elbow. I slammed down my elbow on the moving part. And because part of me knew that this was something evil, bad, and then something grabs my ankle and gives me a yank down, and I'm like fighting in the dream, and I wake up for real at that point. But it was, it was extremely vivid, extremely real. I just gave you like the rough version of it, just to give you an idea. So anyhow, I tell this story in that episode. I'm sorry to tell it again. If you saw that episode, you're like, I know, we saw this already. I'm sorry. Just, fast forward, I guess. And my friend, the one from Myrtle Beach, saw that episode and she called and we were talking about it. She's like, so I just want to warn you, something that happens when you declare your faith, like when the world knows, when you tell the world, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, I am walking beside God, I am his. When you declare yourself as his, the devil takes notice too. And he doesn't like that. It makes him mad. And he wants to steer you away and he wants to distract you. And he obviously doesn't want you over there. He wants you down there with him in the dirt, in the mud, in the muck, and the fire, and the bleh. So he's going to do all kinds of things to shake your faith. all kinds of things, and that can manifest in so many different ways. And I think that most typically that manifests in your earthly life and your real day-to-day lives. Things will try to come in between you and your faith. And that may be as simple as people making fun or criticizing or mocking or arguing with you about it and trying to tell you that God isn't real and that, all these things, that you're in a cult. They're going to tell you all these kinds of things. And I think that's more typical, that it comes in the form of other people who try to steer you off of this path. So I was very aware of that. And she said, but it sounds like in your case, it's coming through in your dreams, which made perfect sense because, like I said, I've always been a very intense, vivid dreamer. I mentioned before my childhood dreams. I didn't go into any detail about it, but I'll just say that I had in my dreams recurring dreams of an angelic presence watching over me, and he was always just there in my dreams. And I tried so hard to interact with him. And I always had this overwhelming sense of peace and protection and love and just being surrounded and protected by this angelic figure. And these were recurring dreams throughout my childhood, all the way into adulthood too. I haven't had one in a long time, but I know I understand the reason for it, actually. Whole other conversation. If we ever sit down in person, I would sit and talk to you about it if you wanted to. But then the counter to that was I would have dreams like the one I just told you about with the very scary demonic figures and what happened. And there was another one after that. So there was two dreams. It's similar in nature, same type of awful dreams. And what was different about those two dreams than all of the other nightmarish ones like it before was both times I fought back viciously in them and basically said, absolutely not. I am his. You can't have me. Not going to happen. And I woke up from those dreams. The second one, not so much the first one. I had to sleep with the lights on I have to be honest. I slept with the lights on for probably a solid week after that. It was that bad. I still swear, a grown ass woman sleeping with the lights on because she had gotten so scared by a dream. So it was that bad. It really was. And, but the second time that happened was when I fought back in both, but the second one was the one where I consciously, like my conscious was there watching this and being in it. And I said, I am his. I feel so crazy telling you this story, but listen, it is what it is. Call me crazy. I don't care. I don't care at this point. It's all good. And I haven't had one of those dreams since. I'm not saying that I'll never have one again. I've had different types of dreams that I can tell. I know that they are not coming from the right place. You can just tell. You just know this discernment. You start to understand things on a deeper level. So that's something that's happened. If anything along those lines has happened to you, I would love to hear it, mostly because I would like to be not alone in my craziness. But seriously, I would love to hear some of the things that you've encountered on your faith journey that seem like, or maybe clearly are trying to steer you away, and how you handled it, because maybe that will help somebody else. So if I'm not helping somebody with how I handled it, maybe you can help with how you handle it. So don't undermine your value in this conversation, because I do want it to be a conversation. So yeah, so it does, that story actually does tie in, of course, because it's some of the things that try and steer you off of your path, your journey as being a believer. Being a believer in Christ is going to it's going to have times of trial, and it's just a test. It's just a test. And a lot of us don't like being tested. We're not good testers. Um, I'm actually a really good tester. Isn't that weird? I'm like really good at tests. I don't know why. Strange, isn't it? But I don't know, it's just a thing. So that actually works out well for me, I guess, in that sense. And I hope that that helps you as you navigate through this. I hope you found this one just when you needed to hear it, because maybe you're having some really awful dreams. Maybe someone in your, you know, awake present life is really pushing hard against you and your journey, and you needed somebody just to give you a little backup here. And but really though, never mind me. There are so many verses and parts of the Bible that talk about being God being your shield and your armor and your protection and your savior and all of those things. Fortify yourself with that. Like, just arm yourself with those verses. Like, write them down, have them in your phone, put them on a sticky note, put them on your mirror in the bathroom. And then when you wake up, the Lord is my shield and my, put all that stuff on there. And oh my God, it makes you just feel so powerful and protected and safe. And that, I guess that's probably the big takeaway. That's the big takeaway here. I didn't know that was going to be the big takeaway, but that's your big takeaway. Go find some scripture in the Bible that reminds you of how great he is and how protected you are. There's so many of them. Maybe I'll throw some in the notes for you guys too, so you can use those and just copy them and put them wherever you need them, and wear them. Wear them over your heart and your mind. And yeah, it's beyond cool, isn't it? It's so cool. All of the things that are not cool, they are what they are. They can be countered and overcome with all of the things that are so cool about our journey. I think that's all I have on this topic. So don't forget to subscribe if you want the next episode. See you in the next one.